Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hunt Lift Eat podcast, brought to you by Hunt Lift Eat Official on Instagram. Merry Christmas, boys.
Merry Christmas.
We're recording this the day after Christmas. I've got a bit of a lull in my day-to-day activities till we go back to school. Derek, where are you at in your plans and logistics before you head back home?
So we were trying to surprise my mom. I was laying it on pretty thick that we were in Walter Reed, so there was like no reason really to stay there. I was trying to get home before Christmas from all this shit, but my last surgery was like a month after what I thought it was going to be, so it kind of screwed up our plans. So we had come up with this plan to surprise my mom for Christmas. They were going to be at their new house in South Carolina. Everything was going great until like a couple days before we were gonna head down here. My mom started talking about how she like might stay in West Virginia with her sister until Christmas Day and then drive down. I was like, fuck me, man, because we were gonna drive down on the 23rd and surprise her and be here like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then stay till we're gonna leave this on Sunday to head back to Walter Reed. And I'm like, why? Why in the hell would you do this right now? Just be at home like you're supposed to be.
Like you're supposed to be. Tis the season, dude. Holidays and
Tis,
navigating families.
dude,
Oh,
it's insane.
hell yeah. Carter and Derek, back at you again, another episode. And this week's guest, we have another fellow Carter. We got Carter Lewis coming at us from the great state of Virginia this week. What's going on, man?
Oh, not much. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, dude. Welcome to the podcast. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying watching y'all stuff, and appreciate having me come join y'all.
Yeah, dude. We actually got hooked up. We have a mutual friend, Elizabeth, rookie
Yep.
hunting, right?
Yep, that's right.
Nice. Yeah, she's also up there in Virginia, and she was like, "Hey, you should check out my buddy Carter." And I was like, "Sick name. I'm in already." That's what
That's
I'm
right.
talking about. Yeah, dude. And you share a lot of the same passions that a lot of us fellow East Coasters do as well. You like to get after it and do a lot of DIY hunts out west.
Yep. Yeah, it's a struggle for us on the East Coast, but we get it done.
We get it done. And Derek, you're about to venture into the full-fledged, actually, you're going to be a proper resident of the West.
Yeah, at some point,
Oof,
like just gotta find some land.
jealous.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a good word to like kick us off here, talking about like transitioning from East Coast hunting and then, a lot of these Western DIY hunts. Um, I thought early on, I didn't start hunting until I was in college. And I thought early on that was going to be like I have to save up a lot of money and I'll get to go on an elk hunt, once in my life and, a mule deer hunt and that kind of thing. And I was jealous of all these folks on social media, seeing them do it all the time, but I've quickly changed my mindset and you're kind of in the same mindset, Carter.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you get got a lot of comments. Oh, it must have took 10 grand to go kill that elk or whatever, and it's not the case at all. So people
Yeah.
just don't understand that until you break it down to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
it took
barrier.
took 9,500.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Not including the plane ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah, man, my mindset has shifted. Like, Luke has helped me realize, like, you can always make more money, right? Go on the adventures, have the experiences. I like what you have on Instagram. You say die with memories, not dreams. So that's kind of a good way
Yeah,
to.
for sure. You only live once, so got to get it while you can.
Yeah, dude. Well, let's start at the beginning, man. Tell us about yourself and how you got introduced to the outdoors. Did you grow up hunting and fishing and doing all that, and where at?
I was actually like probably 10 or no, like 11 or 12. And I had a uncle who took us out camping one time. He had told us we were going to go hunting on that camping trip. Plans changed, whatever. We didn't go hunting, but we still like went out in the woods, did some hikes, saw some deer. And I was like, this is pretty cool. Like I could get down with this. And that was early November. So that same year, that Thanksgiving, another uncle of mine who had hunted like 3 times, like he didn't know what he was doing, but he still was kind enough to take me to go out there. we walked around my grandma's property and set up in a tree stand that we found that somebody just left out there.
Yeah.
God knows when. So we just sat up in there. And that first hunt, we had like a really nice 8-pointer walk out in front of us. Didn't get a shot. It walked off, but still just that experience got me hooked. So it's probably for the best. 'Cause my uncle was like, I don't know what we would have done if we shot that thing.
Because his experience level was lower than perceived.
Yeah, he would have had to call somebody. He didn't know the field dress or nothing. So
I mean, I'm all for ready, fire, aim, but holy fuck.
oh yeah. Yep. He was just like, oh, that's probably for the best. So but no, that's what got me started. And then so that next year got all my stuff and was just hunting my grandma's farm. I was fortunate enough my great grandma had like 160 acres. So I hunted that really hard. Killed my first deer. Just killing every doe and every spike that walked by and just trying to get more and more reps, more experience. So got into turkey hunting soon after that. And probably like 16, 17, got into waterfowl, hit that pretty hard. And just spiraled from there. Started just getting better as a hunter here in Virginia. And then when I was 21, I got into the western side of things. And now that's pretty much all I devote my time to. So I'll still hunt here at home, obviously, if I can't get out there, I don't have a tag, but out west is where it's at and where I try to be.
Yeah. Sometimes I can't tell where you live. I'm like, does he live in Montana? Does he live in Idaho? Does he live? I forget that you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, still on the East Coast.
You're a traveling fool when it comes to hunting.
Yep. Yeah, I usually always drive out there, and I'm fortunate enough got some friends out west where I'll leave my truck out there for a month or so, and I'll just book a plane ticket back because it's cheaper than diesel and saves me like 3 days of my life on the road driving back and forth. So that helps me get some more hunt time in and makes it a little bit more flexible for myself.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. What kind
Yeah.
of inspired you to start tackling, different species out west coming from your experience over?
Honestly, it was sort of a combination of things. One, I'd lost some of my hunting land like as soon as I got in my 20s, and my great grandma's farm got sold. I was doing some public stuff here around Virginia, which it's you can be successful, and I was, but it's not as enjoyable as private land, obviously. And then I'd always thought like, yeah, I'm gonna do an elk hunt, I'm gonna do a mule deer hunt, like you know, eventually, but I never put a date on it. And I actually got hurt at work, and that was in October of 18. And after that, I was like, I need to do this stuff now because you never know when you might never get the chance to do it. So that next year, I went out, started doing my first DIY trips, did some outfitted trips too, and just got really, really into it.
Yeah, man.
So
And as far as you're comfortability wise, could you tell us a little bit about your injury and what you were doing for work?
yeah, so I'm comfortable with everything, I'm open book. But it was my first day out of recruit school at the fire department, and there was a tropical storm here in Virginia, and me and my crew responded to an accident on the interstate. We actually got hit by an 18-wheeler, like literally as we were getting out of the truck. The 18-wheeler basically rolled the engine, like its tires, over my right ankle. So it didn't like amputate then and there, but it just crushed everything to the point where it wasn't going to be usable or salvageable at all. So did an amputation that night. One of my good friends who I'd known before I got hired, he was hit by the tractor trailer, thrown. He had a bunch of internal bleeding, internal injuries. His pelvis was crushed. He got really lucky. So he got really hurt, and then my lieutenant, he got killed because he was shouting to another one of our guys to get back in the truck when he saw the tractor coming. And then after he got him safe, he was running around to get to me and Dave, the other guy on the other side of the truck. And when the tractor trailer hit, it just rolled the fire truck on top of him. So he lost his life, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah. So, but I was out for 7 months, working through getting a prosthesis and all that kind of stuff. Had 4 surgeries. I had some pretty bad like ligament damage to my knee too. So all the ligaments in my right knee are all cadavered out. I got some pins, some screws, and then just all new ligaments from donors. And I had a prosthetic within 4 months, and I was back to work in the field on the fire truck. It's like 7 months of some change, so I was able to get back to it.
That seems like a really accelerated pace. The healing must have gone pretty well for you.
Yeah, I'm really lucky as far as amputees go. I didn't have any kind of I had an infection at one point, but it wasn't anything serious. A lot of guys have a lot of problems like blisters, swelling, getting just infections from those blisters. I didn't have any of that. I probably could have taken some more time and not come back as soon as I did, but I wanted to get out of my light duty assignment of logistics as soon as possible. So
You're a better man than me. I got a lot of fucking quitting me, son. I get hit. I get hit by a tractor trailer. I'm calling it a day.
yeah, probably should have, but it's all good. So I'm still working in the fire department now. So I've been there going on 6 years.
Nice.
That's crazy. It's crazy that happened day one.
Yeah, I was a volunteer. I'd volunteered during high school and after high school for like 2 years. So then finally got hired, went through the recruit school, and then yeah, just day one.
Damn.
Was
So
there any discussion
yeah,
about not doing a amputation card?
no, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty much a realist. When the doctor told me, he was like, we could try to do some kind of surgery to save it, but like the ball of your ankle is shattered. You're never going to run. If you do that, you're never going to be able to walk right. You'll probably have chronic pain for forever. And that's if you get through whatever infections are going to come your way because of this. So it was just an easier decision. So I was also feeling pretty good that night when they told me that. So on some good meds.
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, just do it. So
Just send it.
oh yeah, yep. So it worked out. It wouldn't have been smart to try to save it at all. There'd be no way I'd be able to hunt the way I do. I'd probably walk around on crutches or a cane now if that was the case.
Was that a motivator for you during this process? Where was your kind of headspace at after that? Were you like, oh my gosh, like I may never get to pursue these things in the outdoors anymore? Or was it a massive motivator, or where were you at?
I was a motivator, but I knew I was gonna be able to overcome it and get back to it. Obviously, I think there's a lot of like content out nowadays about soldiers and all kinds like all sorts of different people coming back from invitations and doing incredible things continuously. And I'd seen some of that before I got hurt, so it really wasn't a doubt in my mind I'd be able to do it. Um, my main motivator was trying to get back to work, get back on the fire truck. So I thought of Brad, my lieutenant, and his family a lot. I wanted to get back for them, so that was a big motivator for me.
The
Yeah, man.
amputee world's kind of crazy now too. Like, after GWAT, they have so much information and the things that they've been able to make and do, and they've just like grown in leaps and bounds. Like the dudes that I know, they don't even count it as an amputation if you're not above knee. They're like, yeah, you're a bitch. Fucking
Oh
get
yeah,
moving.
yeah,
It's
100%.
crazy.
Yeah, the above knee guys, they're pretty tough doing what they got to overcome with that knee injury. So yeah, and I was lucky. There was a guy local who he got hurt in a similar kind of accident, so he came and helped me, and we have the same prosthetic doctor and helped me work through some stuff. And then another firefighter out in Phoenix, he's a big elk hunter. He actually flew out through the union of the fire department, met with me, talked to me, told me what I needed to do. Like within a month of it happening, we've kept really close ever since that. Just talking.
Very cool. That's a cool
Uh,
program.
yeah,
And what are you doing with the fire department now? What's your role?
I'm still just a firefighter.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's
So I got just still on shift work. Got to go back to work tomorrow, actually. So
there you go. And how
yeah.
do what's your prosthetic made out of?
It's carbon fiber down at the bottom, so super flexible. It can hold a lot of weight. It's good for running. Like I got a really athletic build, like prosthesis, and then the top part is more carbon fiber, where like the actual stump fits into the prosthetic, and then there's like aircraft aluminum, sort of in the middle where everything joins together, so you make adjustments and stuff like that. So pretty much all of them are carbon fiber. I got a similar one that's in my turnout gear. So if I get a call at work, I just hit a button on my leg, disconnect the one that I'm walking around in right now, step into my turnout gear one. And I've also got a running blade too that I'll use to just work out with.
That's sick.
Oh yeah.
Dude, those running blades are no joke. We had when I was in RASP, the Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. We had this one cadre he had lost his leg, and he was just there to like get back in shape so he could go back to the line. and we knew it was a bad day when he came out with that running blade, dude. He would run us to fucking death, dude. And I was just
Oh,
like,
that's awesome.
I was in pretty good shape at that point. I was just like behind him. I'm like, this one-legged man is about to run me till I fucking die. That he would, man.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was in the Army Reserves and all this happened. And my plan was to stay in, but the reserves did not want to keep me just because they did not want the liability from it. So,
Yeah,
like, if it was an amputation that happened in the military, they'll keep you, but because it was outside, they didn't want to get any kind of liability or something that happened. So I got medically discharged because of that. So, oh well.
cowards.
Yep.
Well, it's not slowing you down now, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the, the bigger challenges you face when starting into, tackling Western hunts for the first time. That's obviously a challenge that you have overcome that not everybody is privy to. But how has having a prosthetic been a challenge with these Western hunts? And then, what are some other challenges that you've experienced at the beginning of kind of your DIY hunts?
With the prosthetic of Western hunts, like I was in Virginia, we're not walking 7 miles a day. You're usually getting out of the truck and walking down the bean field 300 yards and getting in the tree stand and eating a little Debbie and hanging out. But so just I knew it was gonna be a lot on my leg, like as far as soreness, just that repetition, and then like the steep inclines and stuff. So before I went out there, I started working out, working with a rucksack, just trying to get miles in. We do have some mountains here in Virginia that are like an hour and a half from my house. I'd go out there and do hikes, put a little bit of weight in my backpack, and just see how everything's feeling, get a feel for it. So that was really helpful. When I actually got out west, I didn't realize like side hilling sort of sucked for me. So like if I'm side hilling and my left leg is down, I just put a lot of weight on that ankle. So my ankle is like really taking a beating. So like that was one thing, sort of playing my routes better around that obstacle. But that was probably the biggest issue. And then any other issue was just blisters just from like weight and then like all the repetition. But I've actually really gotten past that. I haven't had one of those for like 3 years. So my the first bull I killed, packing him out, he was in a pretty bad spot. And like when we got out the last load, I had a pretty sizable blister on the end of my stump that was just like throbbing. Like I remember getting out at the gas station, going back to my buddy's house, and I was like, oh, I almost want my crutches right now to walk in here.
Yeah,
So, but it's just something that like, just your skin's got to get tougher, and you just got to get over it. Pop a few ibuprofen and keep on going.
and you're good to go.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, this past year I didn't have any issues with that whatsoever. So I didn't do any. None of my pack outs were too bad this year too, though. To be honest, but yeah, no, I didn't have any issues for a while.
That's good. We'll take the easy pack outs when we can.
Yeah, it's nice when
Do
they're
you
by
have
the road.
do you have any like backup gear in case something happens to your prosthetic? Like I know you can't carry a brand new socket, but like do you have any shit that you carry just in case it breaks out there?
I always keep the Allen key that's for my prosthetic in my bino harness. Like I keep that one piece, like the right size for it, which actually helped out this year on the first day of my elk hunt. I just made adjustments on my leg back home in Virginia, and I guess I didn't torque it down the right way. And the first like downhill slope, the bottom of my prosthetic like pretty much came loose. It was like wiggling all over the place. And like thank God I had my little Allen key right there and tightened it up, and I was good to go. Um, on top of that, I sort of like piecemealed together a whole prosthetic from all my old ones
Hmm.
that I'm probably not supposed to have if you ask workers comp, but whatever. So I piecemealed that together and I keep that in my truck. So it's not a great one, but like if this one for some reason was shot, I could get around on that just to get home.
Yeah,
So yeah. And
That's
then like
good.
some extra liners and socks and stuff like that, but nothing too crazy.
yeah.
So
It's good perspective, man. I've felt sorry for myself on pack out side hilling, and I have both my legs, so I won't do that anymore.
yeah, that's right.
Bullshit. You're still gonna fuck bullshit.
That's true. I love to complain.
Oh yeah, no, it's fun to complain when you're doing it. When you're done, you're just so happy it doesn't matter.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
That that type two fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's addicting, man.
for sure.
Yep. Cool, dude. What about, let's start from the beginning of like planning these hunts. And I'm sure you're similar in that you've gotten a lot better at planning and, ultimately getting to that success with some of these DIY hunts. But can you walk us through some of your planning process and maybe a little bit how that's changed from like your first hunt? Like what was your first Western hunt?
Sorry, throat's all sore from the cold air this morning. But no, I think my first true like DIY hunt was archery antelope in South Dakota. So that one was sort of interesting. It was over the counter tag just for archery. Um, Went out there. Well, going back, I didn't really know too much about e-scouting at that point. So honestly, I was just looking for buttes I could glass off of, a lot of road access because I knew like archery antelope's just about getting reps. Like try to put as many stalks on as you can. They're not all gonna be quality, but hopefully one or two or something will work out. So I was looking at stuff for road access, buttes to glass off of, and then some more remote areas to get away from pressure if I did find a lot of pressure. And then also like sort of keeping back in my mind nearby ag fields near public stuff where I know they'll be feeding, or maybe I can catch them coming back from public. And then planning my route as far as driving and my sleeping setup. So I don't like to try to like get Airbnbs or anything like that. I just would rather be at my truck, be mobile, not waste time driving from a hotel to where I'm gonna hunt. I just want to wake up where I'm at. So making sure that I can camp where I'm gonna be at, stuff like that. So
How'd you decide South Dakota for your first one and archery antelope? And that could be a bit of a bear.
yeah, so my buddy who lives in Montana now actually drew a New Mexico elk tag that year. And the plan was I'd already gotten those weeks off from work. I was gonna go help him with that. I wasn't gonna have a tag, I was just gonna help him. And he ended up getting the job offer and moved to Montana, like literally the week his tag was good for in New Mexico. So that whole hunt got axed. And I was like, well, I got this time off and I want to do something. So my options were like fall bear in Montana, OTC Colorado elk, which would be solo by myself, or the archery antelope stuff. So since being that it was my first one, I knew it was gonna be solo. Hadn't killed an elk before. I was like, I'll shoot antelope. It's a good like entry into all of this kind of stuff. Not as far of a drive as Montana would be for fall bear. So that's sort of where I fell on that. And I also knew that it was probably gonna be the last year it was gonna be over the counter. I knew that they were talking about going to that draw process.
Is
So
it draw now?
yeah, it's a draw now. I think it's like it doesn't take a lot of points to draw it, but yeah,
Got in while the getting was good.
yeah, exactly. So I came close. I put on like probably 15, 17 stalks and I drew back 3 times.
Yeah.
So, but it just didn't work out. But it was still a good time.
Yeah. Anybody who hasn't been antelope hunting, it's a fantastic entry point to Western hunting. And
Yeah.
it's not a gimme hunt either. You're still hunting for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
for
don't make
sure.
it easy for you all the time.
And those
No,
little
this year,
bastards are fast and they can see.
Yep.
yeah, absolutely. And decoys don't work. I tried it several times. Hold that thing up and they go the other way. So I just put that thing back in the truck.
Yeah.
Because of course I went out there and bought a decoy and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, this will be great. It'd be like it is on YouTube. No,
No.
not at all. So yeah, even this year I had a rifle tag for Montana antelope, and it was still challenging. The rifle's a lot easier. You don't have to get as close, but still had some difficulties. So
Now, did you have a mentor or were you solo for this trip? Or did you just,
yeah,
were you like, I'm going for it?
yeah, I was just solo on that South Dakota antelope. So me and my buddy who moved out to Montana, we grew up hunting back here at home, so we were always bouncing ideas off each other. And then now, fast forwarding, I've sort of built like a circle of people I can call, bounce ideas off of, and compare notes, compare e-scout together, and that's really helpful. So as far as like the Western stuff, I pretty much took it on myself, a few buddies, somewhat figured it out. Not quite, but trying to.
Yeah, your buddies in your circle that you have to be very deliberate choosing those for these Western hunts. You need to make sure
Absolutely.
they hunt the same way that you want to hunt, right? Because not everybody does, and not everybody wants to go as far or as fast or whatever, right? I've learned that in hunting with different people. People move at different speeds, and
Yeah.
being
Some people want to.
relaxed, that conversation is important.
Yeah. Some people want to stay in a hotel, and that's not me. So you got to make sure you're all on the same page with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I camped in Montana for our deer hunt, and it was 7 degrees. It was so cold. I was begging for a
Oh yeah.
hotel. The third night, I was like, "This is stupid."
Oh yeah.
That's good. Yeah, man. What did you use kind of in the early days, e-scouting wise, looking at like were you was Go Hunt a thing then?
I got Go Hunt about a year and a half ago. But before that, it was honestly just on X as far as like the e scouting goes. And then I got Go Hunt in order to compare like draw odds and get better at that. Because before I'll just reference the information the states put out.
Yeah.
So, but some of that stuff it's hard to find. It's not in great formats. I guess a lot easier when Go Hunt just has it posted out. I still will try to compare it to what the states have because there can be some variations. Just trying to get a good idea of when I'll draw, what I'll draw, stuff like that. And then I started using Hunting Fool too because they also have the draw odds. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to be able to compare because there are some differences between all three of those. So you can get a good idea of what you may or may not be able to get.
Definitely. Did you jump on any forums or anything like that in the early days?
Not really, honestly. So, like, I was talking to a buddy not so long ago about that kind of stuff because he just got a Idaho elk tag and he was freaking out because he was reading the forums about how bad the unit was and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, not to sound like a dick, but most people posting in those forums didn't find any elk to begin with, and that's why they're posting in the forums.
Yeah.
Like the guy who shot the 6x7 over there isn't going to post, "Hey, I shot the 6x7 by what this ridge over here." Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's sort of
Anybody anybody does that, it's lost their fucking mind. They're not gonna tell you where to find them, especially on
yeah,
public land.
yeah, absolutely not. So I haven't really dove into those much. I will freeze scouting. I'll call the state biologist, so I'll look up whatever region it is, and I use that as a resource. Most of them are pretty good. The unit I got this year in Idaho for elk, I called the biologist. She didn't know the answer to any question I asked.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, thanks for your time.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Isn't this your
Yeah.
job?
Yeah,
What is it?
that
What is it you say you do here, lady?
yeah, it was I was like, what's going on here? So I need to try to call back and try to get somebody else, I guess.
That's funny. I posted on a forum before once I decided I was going antelope in Wyoming. I did the same thing. I printed out on the Game and Fish website draw odds, units, percentage of public land, that kind of stuff, and then just highlighted all the units I could hunt with 0 points based on last year's
Nice.
draws. And I was like, I guess I'm putting this one first, this one second, this one third. I was like, I'll draw a tag and then figure it out. And drew and posted, I think I was hunting unit 20 or something like that. And like, hey, on Rockslide forum or something, drew unit 20. I was like all excited. And yeah, I drew it. Anybody have any advice on how to hunt antelope? And I just got like eviscerated by like 100 dudes who were just like, screw you. Like, you just look for handouts, you blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even.
Yep.
It was insane.
Yeah, it's like every Facebook post you see in like a Montana elk hunting group chat, or you see people post, "Hey, I'm going to unit whatever," and they're like, "That's a trophy unit. You can't go there."
Yeah.
Just drew a general tag. What are you doing?
Yeah. After that, I stayed away from that. I was like, yeah, other hunters aren't always your best allies in this type of scenario.
No, for sure.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
So antelope was your first one. What was your first kind of successful Western hunt?
My first truly DIY successful Western hunt was my Montana bull I killed. So killed that with my buddy out in Montana. We had hunted for like 4 days before that. We were in elk every single day. Like every day I had knocked my arrow. But we were basically just bouncing around the same little herd that was right on the edge of public and private. And there were some really nice bulls in that group, but we just couldn't get them across the fence consistently. So we actually were glassing up a mountain ridge and saw some elk in a meadow, basically in a spot where you'd have to go up over the ridge top, gain 1,500 feet, come back down on top of them. So that was my first successful one. And that was just because we were looking outside the box, thinking about ways to get at these elk where other people weren't.
Yeah.
So that worked out really nice. Ended up calling in 4 bulls at once, and I shot the first 3x3 that came in range. So then my buddy, he almost killed a 6x6 like 2 minutes later, but it spooked at like the last second. So, but it's okay. We had our hands full with 3x3.
So you decided to go with a bow in your hand for your first elk hunt.
Yeah, I definitely I wanted to experience the rut action, the bugles, Obviously, if there was a rifle tag in September that I could have got, would have been all over that too.
Right.
But shooting him with a bow it was pretty special. So I was able to shoot him at like 34 yards. Had to pull back and draw and hold several times, just the way he was moving around. And when I shot him, Troy, my buddy, was behind me like 40 yards. He heard the shot, bugled, the bull ran away, stopped the arrow sticking out of him, looked back at me, and then just fell over dead. Then I heard that bugle. So it was beautiful. Yeah.
I can only imagine. Like, what were you? What was going through your head when you see him drop?
I was freaking out, and then I was about to, do the whole yell and get all excited. And then I was like, "Oh, I need to stop. We're about to kill another one." The other 6x6 was like 100 yards away, like just out of sight. So I literally ran back to Troy. Was like, "He's dead." I saw him die. He was like, "Okay, cool." We swapped positions. I started calling, and the bull was just raking a tree, and Troy tried to just sneak into him because he wasn't coming any closer, and he got busted like at the last minute, like 60 yards. So, yeah. But we know he's still in there for next year. So
That's what's just so damn frustrating about archery is like that's a dead elk with a rifle any day of the week. And
oh, absolutely, yeah. Just shoulder the gun and pull the trigger. Yep,
yeah,
moving over. Yeah. So
when did you get into archery?
I've always bow hunted at home. So I had that a little bit, and then once I got into the elk hunting side of archery, like just preparing a couple of years before I even had that Montana tag, got into building my own arrows, getting really in tune with my bow setup, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, now having done it, I get it. I kind of poo-pooed taking my bow on my Western hunts. I was like, this is a lot of money. Like, I'm a school teacher. Like, I'm scrapping dollars together for these trips. I want to have a rifle in my hand, just to give me the largest margins of actually killing possible. And then I got talked into taking my bow this year. And Gabe in Wyoming, who we were hunting with, he was like, I know you got the general tag, but dude, if you want to hunt elk properly, you want them screaming their heads off and bugling. And like, if you want to see the rut, like, this is the way to do it. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm the same with you, though. If I can pick my rifle up for mule deer and all that kind of stuff in October, November, I'm doing it. But elk, just being able to be that close to them, bugling, calling at them in September, you can't beat it.
Yeah, because you mentioned earlier, right? It's all about getting reps. And like, I can get a lot of reps here back home. Like, we can kill 10 does and 2 bucks in Georgia. So I can get a lot of reps bow hunting here.
Yeah.
But when you're on these trips, you're lucky if you get one, where the stars align and you have a shot opportunity.
Yeah, not for sure. So you gotta make every little thing count. So this year so far, I've gotten we got my Idaho tag, which is a rifle tag. Couldn't get the same unit I had last year, but it was the next best one that I had researched and put on my list of what to get. So it'll still be fun. So it's still sort of a rut hunt. Starts October 1st, so this should still be talking.
Yeah, for sure.
But hoping to get one more elk tag for September. So we'll see. Hopefully that works out.
Thank you. Did you find, with your background, like having experienced turkey hunting and with the waterfowl, did you find learning how to call elk when you were learning that process? Having those skills in your pocket already, was that helpful to you?
Yeah, it definitely helped with as far as like just being able to master the calls. I feel like elk hunting is definitely different as far as what you're trying to emulate to the animal. Obviously, like a turkey, you're just doing female hen vocalizations. You're trying to get them to come into you. Then you bring the elk hunting aspect in, and a lot of times you're making, bull on bull sounds, trying to be aggressive, get their attention, make it seem like you're stealing their herd away, whatever. So I just watched a lot of YouTube videos for that. Got guys' thought process on what they're trying to present to the animal when they're doing their calling, and I just tried to copy that the best I could. So I feel like I figured it out a little bit because I got to call in. The elk I killed last year by myself in Idaho, and then I got to help call in another bull for some other people in Idaho. Um, so I've only really called it two elk myself. My first one, my buddy did all the calling. I wasn't doing anything. I helped, just keep his bull steady when he went after it, but so still just trying to get more and more reps on that.
Yeah, that's the
So
next piece of the puzzle for me. I didn't do anything. I just stood there and I got to focus solely on the shot. Gabe was doing all the calling and raking trees and cow calls and calf calls and bugling and doing all that. And after I killed the elk, I was like, "This is amazing," but I need to help out with some of the burden next
yeah,
time and actually learn how to do this.
well, especially like elk, they're so hard to solo call when you're going in for yourself because they'll hang up. They want to be coming straight to the sound where you're at. So if you're calling and then they come right to you, and you're sitting there with your bow, they're going to be looking right through you. So it's hard to try to put yourself in a situation where they think you're 40 yards behind where you actually are, that
Yeah,
kind of deal. So that's what I was trying to do in Idaho. I was actually working in on a big 6x6. I was right above him and I was just making little calf mews. So I was walking through the woods and I was bumping elk. Like the herd was all around me. So I didn't want to spook them. So I was just doing the little calf mews. It relaxed a couple of like the cows that I was bumping into. And it kept him bugling the whole time. So I knew where he was at. So I was trying to just sneak into 100 yards, something close, and then rip a challenge bugle, and then try to bump up 30 yards to get on him. And ended up shooting the spike I shot just because he literally walked right into me when I was trying to work above the 6x6. So I was like, well, spike in the hand, 6x6 in the bush.
yeah,
This is my second elk hunt. Like we said, you need to get reps. So I took that option.
yeah. It's still a
So and
ridiculous
that
amount of meat at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, and we ended up calling that 6x6 in the next day. I had some friends who were nearby, so I called them to help with the pack out because they had offered. And going back in for my spike the next day, we found that 6x6 again and called him in. And unfortunately, it resulted in a miss, but he put on a show, so it was a good time. Yeah.
Derek, are you excited for your first one?
Dude, I can't. I mean, it won't be my first one. I did that DIY in 2021, I think. Yeah,
Where
and
you
got totally
drove all the way
skunked.
out there and hunted for
I
a day?
drove. No, I drove. I hunted for 4 days, I think.
Oh, okay.
But I like my buddies had done all the scouting, and then the one dropped out super early, and then the other one the day that he was supposed to drive down to my house so we could drive to Colorado, he fucking got COVID, and I just decided to sua sponte it and fucking go it alone. But it was just everything that could have went wrong on that trip. Like him not being able to go, and then it was 20 degrees like warmer than it normally is at that time of year, so
Mm.
they hadn't moved down to where we were at, and like just like never, the only fucking thing I saw was two mule deer in Pagosa Springs, like eating out of a trash can.
Damn.
Now, Carter, you don't mind hunting solo.
No, I honestly prefer it just because talking about like logistics of getting out there, it's you don't have to worry about people's grandma's cat got sick and they can't go and that kind of stuff. Like you can just do your own thing. You don't have to worry about people wanting to go out and eat or do whatever. It's just you can sort of just rock it yourself and get after it. So I like hunting my buddy in Montana. He doesn't get as much time off as I do from work, so I usually end up going solo even when I'm out there. But I honestly prefer it. So just those few reasons.
Yeah, that takes a whole nother level of um, confidence to do these trips solo. I respect it immensely. I don't know if I'm there yet, but
Yeah,
It's
if you're
fun.
gonna if
It's
you're gonna
fun.
hunt
Fun
with
being in the mountains, relaxing. So
yeah,
if you're gonna hunt with a partner, you two definitely got to be like on the same level, or it's just not gonna be a good time.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, you really find out who somebody is when you take them out in the mountains for 7 days. So
The weirdest thing for me was like when I went back into town after like 4 days and like finally talking. It's like I didn't really.
yeah,
I'm not out there
no,
talking to myself, you know. So like just hearing her voice for the first time in a couple days, you're like, oh fuck, who's that?
yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
did you grow up watching like Jeremiah Johnson or any of those westerns that kind of inspired you to go out there?
Honestly, not really. I just grew up watching like the whitetail shows in Iowa because that's we know we were hunting back here at home. So like the Crush and all that kind of stuff, the Lukowskis, Growing Deer TV, that kind of thing. So I always had the aspiration to go after elk and mule deer and that kind of stuff. So once I finally did it myself and started watching YouTube videos, watched like the gritty videos, that kind of stuff, I was that really got me pumped up to go get after it.
Have you jumped into trying to film any of your hunts?
Uh, I bought a camera, but all like every time I'm like, man, I'm going 5 miles. I don't feel like carrying that thing, so I just never do.
Yeah.
Um, I'll try to like take some good like mag view videos through my spot and scope, like kill shots or just like animals doing stuff, but that's really it. That and I don't feel like I have the patience to sit there and edit anything. Like I've tried to on a few things, and I'm just like about to pull my hair out. So I'm like, never mind.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
So
the Hunt Lifty
There's
crew is sitting on a gold mine of unedited video that nobody wants to edit. Nobody wants to learn how to edit and put it together. And like, dude, it's like smashing my head against the wall trying to figure that out.
oh, yeah.
and
And
then
every time I'm like, man, if I had a GoPro on my shoulder, this would look so cool. And then I'm like, oh well, Also, the memory, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
then you got to set it all up and like get different angles and shit, and then you got to figure out how to tell a cohesive story throughout the whole thing. Like fuck it, I mean, that's why it never has
Yeah.
appealed to me hunting like with to film any of my own hunts. Like fuck that shit. If somebody wants to tag along and do it for me, cool, but I'll never
Yeah.
do it myself.
100%. I've had enough technical difficulties in a tree stand trying to set up a GoPro and a camera. I'm like, I can't do this out in the mountains. There's no way.
No,
Yeah,
no
and then
way.
all
Oh,
the
and
other bullshit that you got to haul with it, like
oh yeah.
batteries, a way to charge it, tripods for your setups and shit. Like fuck that, more weight.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I never would want a camera to get in the way of a harvest too. Like you hear about that
Yeah.
kind of stuff, like, oh, we can't shoot because it's not on film. Like, I don't care.
Pull the trigger.
So,
Yep.
Yeah,
yeah,
hell I
exactly.
can't.
Yeah. I just drove 38 hours out here. I really don't care right now. So,
Now, you mentioned logistics earlier. Do you have any advice to people who are maybe new in the DIY hunting space or haven't taken that leap yet on balancing, cost, time, and preparation for any other non-resident hunters?
I say like the biggest cost is just getting your initial gear. So if you can bite that bullet and get the nice pack, get the nice boots, a good sleep system, like it sucks when you first do it, but it's so much better than piecemealing together whatever you like, some older, crappier stuff. You're gonna be better off in the long run. It's gonna last longer, and then you're not gonna get out there and have stuff break. So, because like at first, I bought some cheaper crap, some used stuff, whatever, and like it got me through. But then a lot of it also broke.
Yeah.
And then you're out there and your bike rack breaks. Now you got to go buy a $1,500 bike rack because your Amazon one just fell apart on the side of some highway in West Virginia. So that happened. Um, so stuff like that. I say like one of the most important things is having a good sleep system for your truck because you save so much time and money going out there and not having to get hotels. So I used to have just a regular, just Lear shell in my truck, and I would just honestly throw a little mattress back in there and sleep in that, and that was great. It just got to the point with compounding so many trips on top of each other and leaving my truck out west that I didn't have room to sleep and for coolers and for food because I'd leave my truck out west from September to November. So I got all the gear from 80 degrees to -10 in Montana. So there's just too much stuff. So I ended up getting the rooftop GFC camper, and that thing's been awesome because you can just pop the tent up, crawl inside, sleep. You can access your truck bed through a little pop up door. So like that thing's been a game changer. It's expensive, but in the long term, I'll save money on hotels by being able to just pull over on some BLM land and sleep in that. So that's one of
Yeah,
the big things. And you
yeah,
save time because you're not setting up some big wall tent every time you go somewhere. You're just popping up the shell, being able to be more mobile, bounce around different areas if you're not finding animals. So,
yeah. That's a good way to put it, man. You lose, we always lose a full day. I fly. Um, I don't mind driving, but like if I fly, I know I can get an extra full day of hunting because I get that afternoon. I fly real early and then I fly out real late on the end. So I get a full
yep,
extra day with the half day on the front end and the half day on the back end. And that's usually clutch for like if you have to work up meat or like setting up camp. Like setting up camp always takes the entire first day, right? And with a
for
setup like
sure.
yours, you can just get there and start hunting, man. That makes a lot of sense. And you're coming out in the green ultimately, right? Saving money on hotels and Airbnbs and all that stuff, even if there is a big upfront cost.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, really like that. Like, because when I drive out west, I pretty much always make it to Des Moines, Iowa the first day, and that's like my halfway point to Montana. So I'll just pull over at a truck stop, pop the GFC up, or if I'm tired enough, I'll just sleep in the front seat, get a couple hours in, and then the next day I'm just back on the road. Um, and then like logistics of I save a lot of time by flying back and forth. Um, just because obviously, if I was to go out and elk hunt in September and then want to go back for October mule deer, that's 4 days on the road just back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4 hunting days.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have a friend's house to leave your truck. Like all these airports out west, it's $5 a day to leave your truck somewhere. It's like, yeah, it's a couple $100 in the end of it, but paying diesel, eating, driving a couple days, like it's still cheaper than um, driving back and forth and losing that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think the hardest thing for people to comprehend with this shit is just like biting that bullet and buying that quality gear first. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, like you bought a shitty bike rack. Like you could buy 10 shitty bike racks, or you could buy a one fucking good bike rack, and it'll last you basically the rest of your life if you just treat it right. Like if you buy quality gear and then treat it well, it will last you in most cases the rest of your life. It's just
Oh
I don't
yeah.
under I've never been shy to buy quality shit that's expensive just because I know it's going to pay off, and that I know that is tough for a lot of people to comprehend. Well, I can get this, and even if I buy three of them, I'm still saving money. Like, yeah, but like you said, if you get out where you're in the backcountry and you need this fucking piece of gear. Now it's broke. What good is it? Like,
Yeah.
it does you no good.
No, for sure. Or people like a lot of people buy like the cheapest, like shitty backpacks that barely have a meat shelf on them, and I'm like, you're gonna regret this, I promise you.
Yep.
Like,
Done
spend the
that.
money on a Kafaru or spend the money on a Stone Glacier. Like, you got to do it. So I think my first,
Especially something like that, where like that is a critical piece of gear. Like there are places where you can skip, but
yeah,
a backpack, a tent, your sleeping system, those are three kind of, in my opinion, non-negotiables. Like if you can't sleep, you're not gonna be able to hunt. If
hmm
if you fucking don't have something to keep weather off you, you're gonna die. And if you can't carry your shit, what's the point in even fucking going out?
yeah, especially like the sleeping bags and stuff. You can buy the shitty whatever sleeping bag at REI that's $200 that's rated for 30 degrees. And you're like, oh, it's gonna be fine. Well, 30 degrees is the temperature you're not gonna freeze to death at. You're not gonna be comfortable at that.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
buy the 0 degree $1,000 bag that's gonna last you forever. Like just do it. It's so worth it. So
Yeah,
if you're
people
hot, unzip it a little bit, you'll be fine. So
they don't understand that temperature is the survival temperature in a lot of cases. Like if you don't do your research, like it's a 30-degree bag, but yeah, that's the tip it won't kill you at. You're not gonna be happy with
Yeah.
with your choice.
100%. Yep. So, or buy the women's bag. It's rated for, I don't know, 0 degrees, because they actually mark those ones down because they know women get colder a little bit. So it's actually rated for less than that is usually how that works.
Those bastards.
That's a good
Yep.
tip. That's a good
Yep.
tip.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good
So
tip.
yeah. So be a man. Buy the woman's sleeping bag. It's better.
That's the name of the episode right there. I like that. Cool, dude. I want to talk about your most recent hunt for sure. But before we get there, can you talk briefly about kind of your tag application strategy and your preference point strategies, as broad and undetailed as possible as you're willing to share? Like, how do you approach building preference points and applying to tags in multiple states every year?
So I buy preference and bonus points in every state that you can pretty much do it across the West, which is it's an expensive spring because all of them you got to buy the $130 hunting license just to get a preference point. You got to buy some kind of stamp, some kind of whatever nonsense, and then you still got to buy your preference point. So I got a lot of like long-term goals, then short-term goals. Short-term, every 2 to 3 years, I want to have a Montana combo tag in my pocket, just because I've been there enough. It's a really good general tag for mule deer and for elk. So I just like having that. Hopefully this year I should draw it. Last year I didn't because I was in the point building process. Um, and then from there I like to just have backups for everything. So I try to have a minimum of 4 tags in my pocket every year, just because knowing you're not going to be successful on all of them, something might happen, you're not going to make it out there, whatever. I just want all the chances I can get. And then still at the same time, not be burning my points down for those better quality hunts. So like Wyoming, last year I drew, actually sort of messed up. I was trying to draw a 0 point unit with my second choice. I wound up drawing my first choice unit, which burnt my points, but it was a good unit, so it worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Idaho is a good state as a backup or a primary tag, just the way they do it now, as far as being able to get in there in December and get a tag in your pocket. So that's always on my radar every year. Try to get some kind of Idaho tag, whether it's amazing or it's lower quality. Last year I had a mule deer tag and a elk tag for Idaho. Both were what I consider pretty like low quality, low odds, low density animals kind of deal. The elk unit wound up being phenomenal. I don't know why. Like it was pretty amazing what I saw in there. Deer unit, I didn't see anything bigger than a spike. So I was there for like 3 days and left to go scout for another tag. Um, so I try to structure my preference points to where I'll always have something easy to draw every couple of years. So, and then also I like to focus on the states where it's predictable. So like you got states like Nevada where it's bonus points. That's not really too predictable because all it's doing is multiplying your name in the hat.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you could draw 1 bonus point or you might not draw 20.
Right.
So it's just something you got to think about. You don't get actually preference on your name like the states, the preference points. Then you got the states like Utah and Arizona. I buy points in those states knowing I'm going to be 40 before I draw anything, and I'm 26.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Long term, playing the long game. Yeah. And then like you got New Mexico, obviously, which is random. So I apply for something in New Mexico every year. I shoot for the fence as far as up tags there, and I shoot for the fence on like some of the oryx tags. I haven't applied for deer or anything else in New Mexico, but it's sort of just trying to get an extra tag in my pocket. Like obviously, if I drew one of those tags, I'd probably not go on a Montana hunt.
Yeah.
Depending how my PTO and stuff from work works out. So, but I keep a pretty detailed like note section in my phone, planning all the way out to like 2028 of what I should or should not draw, and then also trying to like keep up to date on the state regs. Like Idaho, they're talking about going away from what they do now. Like they're going to go to a no preference point, just random draw, which obviously that's going to mess up a little bit what I do, but it also might make some better opportunities.
Right.
And then like Colorado, I'm just building points, sort of like in the midpoint there. I got 5 points there, so I don't really want to I don't really want to burn those quite yet. I think I might save to like the 10 points, but I'm also keeping in the back of my mind those units that used to be over the counter because that's gone now for archery, but you can still draw as like a second choice. So because you could draw one of those, not burn your points, still get to go hunting. Then obviously you got the over the counter rifle stuff still.
For now, right?
Yeah, yeah, for like 2 more years probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of great hidden gems out there if you do your research. One of the best used to be the Wyoming general tag for elk. You used to be able to draw it 2 to 3 points when I started this process, and now with point creep, it's 5, 6, probably more next year.
yeah. I had two buddies who didn't draw 4 points last year, and they thought for sure they'd have it.
Yeah.
So it's getting out of control. Montana's nice because they cap you at 3, so there's no point creep. But
Montana, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't apply, they zero you out, right? With your preference points after 3 years?
yeah, yeah, because one of my buddies, he had been building points, and he was going to apply this year, and I was going to apply as a party so I could have his higher points, and it would round me up from 2 to like 2.6, and I'd be guaranteed to draw. Well, since he didn't apply the past couple of years, he forgot he had been buying points for 3 years. He's at 0. So I told him to check his stuff one day. He looked and he was like, "I got 0 points." I was like, it sounds like you got zeroed out, man."
Yep.
So, but that's nice on their part. Montana's another thing like that. Rifle mule deer in the rut. It's not going to last much longer.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much the only state where you can get a general rifle mule deer tag. And that's as a non-resident. So that's, looking at probably within 5 years, we're going to lose that. So stuff to think about.
For sure. Yeah. Long-term planning with regards to your future trips. Good idea. Be flexible.
Yep. Yeah, always think of those backups. Like there's a bunch of like fall bear hunts you can do if you don't get a deer tag, don't get an elk tag. In quite a few states. Also think like most people don't go to Washington State. They got over the counter elk on both sides of the state over there. So
That's good, man. It's good stuff to think about.
yeah.
All right, dude. Can you tell us about your most recent hunt?
Yeah, so I've been planning this for like 3 years, I think. We booked an outfitted hunt with Cole Kramer and Kodiak. I've been trying to put together a group to do DIY sick of blacktails in Kodiak, but I just couldn't get enough people to go. Couldn't get people, just whatever. Just couldn't make it happen. I didn't want to do Kodiak solo because I didn't want to sleep in a tent with the brown bears by myself. Little sketch.
Yeah.
So opted to go with an outfitter. Got a last minute opportunity from him to do a mountain goat hunt. Just like as a trophy fee. He thought there'd be some in the area, whatever. And first day we got in there, glassed up a billy with a nanny just by themselves way up on the cliff right above camp. So we were able to get after that, and it happened pretty quick. And it's funny because like mountain goat's like the pinnacle for a lot of people, and I just never thought it was on the option. So I feel like I didn't build up that hype that I should have. Remember just walking up to that thing, I was just like, oh my gosh, like it was pretty incredible. Super pretty animals, the way they act in the mountain, just walking around. The scenery where I shot it was like it doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
Can't say too much because I don't want to give anything away about where it was, but that was pretty incredible. Getting to pack that thing out, doing a full body mount at the house, so
Nice.
it'll be hanging up. Yeah, my girlfriend's really happy about that. So
That'll be
yeah, that was my first trip to Alaska, and that was my first animal in Alaska. So that was pretty awesome.
Are they as hard to identify between billies and nannies as it seems, or no?
So when he called me and told me about the opportunity was there, I dove into YouTube trying to learn some of my stuff, and then about an hour into it, I was like, you know what? He knows what the difference is because this is confusing.
Let the profession do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because it goes off basically like the billies have like bigger bases on their horns that you can tell from, and then the only other like there's some other characteristics that I don't really even know. But and then the for surefire way is if you see one pee,
Okay.
because obviously where the stream comes out, you can tell what it is.
Yeah.
So but that's the only surefire way to figure it out. So, but luckily he knew what it was, and I was like, well, tell him it's legal to shoot it. I'm going to shoot it. So this is So I remember asking him, I was like, "Is this a nice billy?" He was like, "Well, it's nicer than the other billy you got at your house." And I was like, "That's a
Yep.
good point." So,
Not a
but
lot in Virginia.
yeah, no. So I've actually now dove into the application stuff for those in the lower 48, which is not looking good, but I'm gonna put in for them and see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
How far were you when you shot it?
I think it was like 282, something like that.
Nice.
So we'd obviously spotted it from down low, went up to it, and the way the mountain was shaped, we were trying to figure out a way to get up closer to it. And just the way the train was, they would see you approaching from whatever angle. So we ended up getting like 570, and the sun was like perfectly at our backs, like just glaring from where we were. So we put on white Tyvek suits, like painter suits, and just hunched over and just slowly crept our way to like 300 yards. Um, got there, and just because of the sun and the white suits, like he saw us and was looking at us, but he never spooked.
Yeah.
I think just like the glare of that sun, like he could see there was something white, and he just probably thought it was other goats.
Yeah.
So we ended up laying down prone for about an hour and a half because where he was bedded, if I just shot him from there and didn't like stone cold kill him, he was going to fall 2,000 feet.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to wait for him to stand up and walk like 50 yards from the edge, just feeding before I could finally take a shot. Took a shot, perfect, right through the vitals. And then I put it in a follow shot as he was running away. He made it like 15 yards where I shot him, but he was like 20 yards from the edge of the cliff when he finally died. So
Oh
it
man.
was a little touch and go there for a second.
Yeah,
Because
dude.
obviously,
That
if they fall, you're going to destroy the animal, and you might not even be able to get it wherever it lands.
yeah, that could have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure. So it was intimidating too because he was at 282. I had just missed like a Boone and Crockett antelope in Montana at like 286.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that. I was like, oh my gosh, please no. So
And
yeah,
then you
I don't
got
know what.
sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I'll say I don't even know what happened with that antelope hunt. I thought that was perfect. I was laying down prone and squeezed the trigger off at like the biggest antelope I've ever seen. I'd found him 2 days before scouting. Me and two other guys were hunting together there with me. We like parked where we like blocked this whole piece of public off so nobody else could get after him. It was open a day. Got in there and it was like first 30 minutes of shooting light and I just missed him. So that was in the back of my mind as I was shooting that goat. I was like, oh, but it was a good shot. Took my time, dry fired at him a bunch. So it worked out really nice.
That's awesome,
Yep.
man. And then you got another opportunity.
Yep. Shot a really, really pretty Sika blacktail, which is what I was going there originally for anyways. We looked over a lot of good bucks. They'd had some winter kill the past few years, so like their age class sort of down. It's like we were seeing bucks, but it was like that's not. I was just looking for a good representation of the species.
Yep.
So we saw a bunch of like big forkies or big 3x3s, and I really wanted something with brows and like one or two splits on their G2s, either or. And we finally found this one buck. He was just like old, super good mass, split on both sides on his G2s, good brows. And we were sitting there glassing like this giant tundra meadow. We were actually looking at another buck who was bigger and taller than this one was, but he was just a 3x3. But we were considering it because I think we only had like a day and a half left.
Mm-hmm.
And this other buck walked around the corner from us, 700 yards. Cole saw him, and he walked back down into the tundra into all this like buckbrush, whatever you want to call it. Lost him. We ran over there, couldn't find him. We're sitting there glass for like another 30 minutes. Cole spotted him bedded just in the tundra. Got to 400 yards, set up. He was bedded with like one branch perfectly across the vitals. So no shot there. Waited for him to stand. We actually did like some fawn distress calls at him.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just like look over like annoyed and then just go back to sleeping like he didn't care. Finally he stood up and we didn't know it, but like two does had walked out below us. So he stood up, looked at them. I was waiting for him to clear that branch and then he just took off, like coming straight at us. It actually came to like 250 yards, found those does and another buck. Was like posturing up with that buck and I took a shot, hit him, and he was tough. When he took that shot, he was acting like he thought the other buck had hit him.
Yeah.
He just bunched up and postured and ears back, shot him again, and I ended up shooting him 3 times. I mean, they're all good shots other than some of the ones that he was running away, like when he was running and moving, but he was a tough old boy.
He was
So
pretty,
he was
man.
real pretty.
I liked seeing that picture of him.
Yeah, I love the way like their capes are. They got the white patch or whatever on their throat, and then obviously like the way their heads are, like the nice black on the top of the nose and top of the head. So super pretty deer. So
What an
small
awesome,
bodies, and then like their horns aren't that big. Like he's probably only 100 inches, but that's pretty much Boone and Crockett for a Sitka blacktail.
right.
Yeah,
Well, that's my dream hunt, man. Like I told you, when you go back, you let me know.
yeah, we'll do it.
I'll hunt as hard as you want me to hunt.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, I love to go back to Alaska. Hopefully, in 2027, I think me and my buddy from Montana are going to go up there and do the some DIY caribou stuff. So
Heck yeah.
that'll be next time I'm back up there.
That's awesome, dude. Well, we're rolling up, cruising past an hour here, dude. That was awesome. Awesome catching up
I
with you,
know.
man. I was looking through our Instagram messages. We've been congratulating each other on animals that we've taken for the past year and a half, man, and it's been fun to sit down and talk about it with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that elk you got in Wyoming this year, that was pretty awesome.
That was
So
That
that was
asshole
that
was on
like
the ground like 30 minutes.
yeah, I was about to say he was there like the first day. I saw you and Luke post you had just arrived or something, and I see a dead bull the next 12 hours later. I was like, geez, wish I could do
Luke had
Where'd you
been
go?
that.
hunting his ass off. Luke had been hunting his ass off all season. Carter gets there, and within 30 minutes, he's got a bull on the ground.
He just needed
Man,
someone to show him how it was done.
No,
that's right. Yeah. I killed a cow elk this year in Montana. I flew back like the last few days of October. Flew back, went to the store to get supplies to be out there for 5 days. Got my truck at my buddy's house, entered the unit, drove up on the first like high piece on a mountain. I was literally on the phone with another buddy just bullshitting, looking through my spotter. And I was like, hey man, I gotta go. I got a cow like right below me at 1,000 yards. I'm gonna go kill her. Hung up and ran down, got to a shooting position and shot her at like 300. I'd been there for 35 minutes. I was like, oh, this is good. And she was close enough to the road, I could drag her to the road.
That's
So
right.
that was even better. Oh, yeah, for sure. So,
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. What's next for Carter Lewis?
I'm going to Texas here in January. I got a good buddy who guides ducks out there. So, bringing my dog and some other buddies out there. We're going to hunt for 4 days. We're driving out like the 14th. Going to get there on the 15th and hunt that morning. Be there for 4 days, do that. And then April, me and three other guys are going to drive to New Mexico, turkey hunt, and look for some elk sheds in April. And then hopefully hit Colorado if we finish up in time. Go to Colorado, try to get some turkeys there. Me and some other buddies turkey hunt pretty hard. Like our goal is to kill a bird in every state west of the Mississippi. So I know they got like the chasing 49 kind of thing, which that's cool, but I don't care about killing a bird in New Jersey. I want to go out west and see some cool country.
That's
So
right.
trying to get after that, and then I'm gonna leave my truck out there, probably at the airport in Denver, fly home, and then fly back like the last day of April or something, and go to Idaho and bear hunt for spring bear. I've been trying to get a spring bear for like 3 years now. Last year we came pretty close. We saw some, made some good stalks, but bears just wander and don't stay put. So hopefully maybe this year will be the year. We're gonna see.
Heck yeah, man. Well, good luck on all your future adventures, man. Look forward to following you along.
Yeah, you too, man.
Where can listeners check out your adventures on Instagram?
Carter double underscore Lewis underscore.
Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, go drop Carter a follow. You got any closing thoughts for listeners here?
Just the out west stuff isn't as hard or expensive people make it out to be. You don't have to go on a guided hunt. I still do guided hunts myself, just because different states tag opportunities, whatever have you. It's not a bad idea to do one just to learn. But it's not as crazy as people think it is. So do some research and you can get after it too.
Heck yeah, man. Derek, you got anything?
Shit, no, man. Fucking anything I say ain't worth a damn.
Hell yeah. Well, Carter, appreciate your time, dude. Listeners, as always, appreciate the hell out of you guys. And we'll talk to you next week.